Today's question, the big question, brings us stateside. Do Inter Miami, the Columbus Crew, or LAFC have legitimate claims to the title greatest MLS team ever if they end up winning the MLS Cup this season?
It's a very, very interesting question. I'll admit that I stole this from a guy named Dustin, who's one of the besties on the Best Soccer Show, which I also do, and
Thanks,
you can
Dustin.
find on YouTube as well, the Best Soccer Show. Thank you very much. Yeah, you think about the history of Major League Soccer and the great teams that we've seen, and if you are of the opinion that MLS has steadily gotten better over the years because of greater investment and better scouting networks and better facilities, which attract better players, things like that, then it just makes sense that modern teams, meaning now, would be better than even the best teams of the past, right? The best team now is probably better than the LA Galaxy of 2011, 2012.
Yeah,
Probably.
most likely. Yeah,
Most likely.
yeah.
I mean, better than the DC United teams of the 90s. Probably better than the Miami Fusion of the early 2000s before they got shut down unceremoniously. Probably. But I mean, I know there are people who will argue that, and certainly people who played in the league or who know the Raul Diaz Arces of the world and the Echeverries of the world and those kind of players, and would say, and the Prekis, and would say, well, you're underrating the players in MLS 1.0. Maybe, but in terms of complete teams, I kind of find it hard to believe that we're not seeing better complete teams now than we've ever seen before. And then you think about that question you just gave us, right? Inter Miami just set a points record.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Messi, Suarez, Alba. This is Busquets. They've got world-class players who are in the downhill part of their career, but still very good. They've built a team around them that has some very good players who are also getting called up internationally. So it's kind of hard to argue that they're not good if they're just sort of like also rans or just sort of like background players to this Miami team. And of course, Miami won without Messi. They won with Messi. Then you have Columbus, who won MLS Cup last year, who play some of the best soccer. It's a subjective thing, sure, but as people watch them play, they see this evolution under Wilfred Nancy that is remarkable, right? It's no longer sort of like, oh, they play sort of intricate and sophisticated soccer by MLS standards. No, you throw that out, the MLS standards thing no longer apply. The qualifier is no longer necessary. Wilfred Nancy's team play very good soccer, period.
Brave and exciting.
Brave and exciting. And as a team, they have the pieces. They've gotten pieces together. I mean, Cucho Hernandez is a very good player, right?
Yep.
You might ding him for what happened back in England, sure, I guess, but he is a very, very good player. It's clear. You go across that team. They've got weapons. They've got good players. I still think Darlington Nagbe may go down as the most underappreciated MLS player of all time.
Yeah, he's a joy to watch too, for sure. See him in person before he retires.
And then LAFC, who has created this standard. Now, they play a different kind of soccer from both the teams we just mentioned, which has them standing out a bit. They're much more reactive, much more counterattack heavy. But when they do play that way and they play it well, they are an incredible team. They have set a standard. You kind of take them for granted almost. LAFC's good? Yeah, okay, of course LAFC's good. What do you mean LAFC's good? But think about the run that they've been on. The title, making finals. Now, that hasn't gone their way, but making finals has become a habit for LAFC. So how can you not include them in the argument of who the best MLS team ever is if we're saying that teams now are better than teams before? And there's three of them happening at the same time, Robert.
Yeah, that's incredible. If we want to roll this out a little bit, would that put this season, if we are seeing three of the best teams, or we're talking about these teams being the three best ever, does that kind of like snowball into this being one of the best MLS seasons?
That's a good question. It's certainly been fascinating, right? Again, I think because it hasn't been consistent, because the league chooses the League's Cup break happening in the middle of the season, it feels choppy. Like, that's one thing I don't like about an MLS season. It doesn't feel like it has a flow from beginning to end.
Not at all.
And I think that ruins the vibes of it and makes it hard to think about what was happening in February and March applying to what's happening now. And obviously, you have a transfer window in the middle that is significant. Like, I don't have data on this, but I would bet that MLS teams turn over their rosters or make significant changes in the summer at a level that is well beyond what any European club does in the January window.
Yeah.
So that means you're talking about teams that look very, very different. Like, not just a little bit. Like, oh, they added a piece here or there. They needed a striker. They went out and got one. I'm talking about like 3, 4, 5 different starters when you're talking April to October. And that's kind of a weird thing. That's kind of hard to pin down as to how to feel about it. But yeah, man, this is, I do think the soccer has been in places, not everywhere. There are bad teams that play ugly soccer, but the soccer has been as good as it's ever been in Major League Soccer. I think that's probably a fair statement.
So the third team on our list is the Juggernaut. They won the Supporters' Shield, broke the points record, and have arguably the world's most famous man on their team. Inter Miami, we've kind of argued it quite a bit. Best team this year, no doubt. Broke the points record. Best team ever.
Yes. I mean, okay. Do they need to win MLS Cup to be sure of that? Yeah, they do. That's how this league works. You can be the points champion. You can win a Supporters' Shield. In their case, you can set a points record. You can be the first team in history to have 220 goal scorers on your side. But if you don't win MLS Cup, that will always be a mark against you. It will always be used against you when we talk about the greatest teams ever. Right? And we know how hard it is to do a double in MLS with a Shield and MLS Cup, but that's the standard. And that's certainly the standard when you set the points record, when you've got Lionel Messi, when everybody expects you to win. You better win. I mean, it's a good problem to have, to be expected to win all the time. So they have to win MLS Cup. But if they do that, this is the best team we've ever seen in MLS.
Funny comment that we got on Monday's show was someone complimenting Messi for giving the rest of the league a half a season head start and still catching them up as far as goals and assists. It's like how courteous of him to take half the season and to let the other guys have a chance. Yeah,
look, I mean, it's easy to fall into this trap of like, oh, if Lionel Messi can do this in half a season, it's not, it's a little bit more than that, but if Lionel Messi can do this in half a season, how bad is MLS? But I think, man, we just have to accept that he plays the game at a different level. Like, we just have to, I mean, I know that's kind of convenient for anybody who wants to defend MLS in that argument, that the league is better than people think it is. But Lionel Messi he's an alien. He is made of different stuff. He sees the game. He plays the game. He can do things nobody else can do. And I don't think it matters. All right, let me bring in what Mike had to say. Messi would have walked into any team on the planet. I honestly believe that. I mean, and part of that's reputation that carries him in. Like, even if you're Carlo Ancelotti, you're going to be like, I mean, that'd be weird. You're playing for Real Madrid now, Leo. What's going on here? I don't know why you're in Madrid. But if you're Carlo Ancelotti, are you not trying to figure out a way to get Lionel Messi? He's playing 39-year-old Luka Modric. He wouldn't play Lionel Messi? Lionel Messi's better player than Luka Modric, right?
Yeah.
So how could you not imagine Lionel Messi doing this? Not these numbers. Of course not these numbers, right? The quality of the league is different. I'm not arguing that. MLS is not La Liga and it's not the Champions League. But he would still be effective. He would still be a very good player on any team in any league in the world. And you put it in MLS and you combine him with guys he knows as intimately as he does with Busquets and Alba and Suarez. And it's the Harlem Globetrotters over here now. And I don't mean that to be dismissive that they're just doing tricks. They're playing effective soccer with the bag of tricks that they had already brought with them from Barcelona.
Yeah, I'd say bag of tricks. They definitely brought that on Saturday. I saw some jokes about the goal that Messi had and Suarez had the 1-2 goal against the Revs, where it was a little dink into the box, and Suarez had the leaping, scissoring volley back to Messi for the tap in. I mean, that is truly Globetrotter stuff, and you have to maybe give credit to Tata Martino and just the Inter Miami staff for keeping them so happy and engaged. And there really hasn't been any drama of big fish in the small pond complaining about how they're being treated or taken care of. And, so credit to Inter Miami and the coaching there. Kind of another question I wanted to have to kind of wrap up this conversation on best ever of these three teams, Columbus, LAFC, and Inter Miami. Which of them may most likely, slip on a banana skin and not get to the promised land of the conference and MLS Cup final?
Oh, man. Well, I think everybody will be disappointed if we don't end up with an LA versus LA Western Conference final.
Yep.
And we don't end up with Columbus, Miami in the Eastern Conference final. That's and that's chalk. I mean, that's the top two teams in each conference. It sounds sort of boring. Like when you fill out your bracket, do you ever have this tension, Robert, whether it's this kind of bracket or obviously the NCAA basketball
don't want to just
tournament?
take easy ones?
You don't want to take ones all the way. You're like, I can't take ones all the way to the Final Four. I can't have 4 ones in the Final Four. That's not going to happen. That never happens. I think it might happen here. Like, it's really hard to imagine it not happening in this situation because Miami is that clear of everybody on their side of the bracket. Columbus is that clear of everybody on their side of the bracket. Like, no offense, Cincinnati, Columbus is better than you. Like, everybody knows that. Orlando and Charlotte, NYCFC, the Red Bulls, I mean, they got a puncher's chance. It's MLS, but I don't think any of them are good enough to actually get it done. And in the Western Conference, again, Real Salt Lake. Everybody tip your hat to Pablo Mastroeni. He's done it again. It's overachieved with Real Salt Lake.
Totally.
But they're not on the same level as the Galaxy and LAFC. It's not even close, really, on their best day. I know Houston beat LA Galaxy to steal away number 1 spot, LAFC sneaking in, all that, but come on. Those are the best teams. That's what we want to see. Like, I think we want to see the best teams battle for the championship, and anything else would be a disappointment. Sorry to everybody else.
The MLS wild card games continue tonight. Vancouver take on Portland, and then the full MLS Cup playoffs begin in earnest at the weekend. We have a whole Wednesday afternoon of Champions League, so the soccer never stops here. We are in definitely a soccer buffet part of the year. Give us a shout online, X or Instagram, MKickaround. Share your comments or questions on what we talked about today or what you're looking forward to throughout the week. And then I'll harp on it again. You can write us an email, morningkickaround@gmail.com, and like and subscribe to the channel. That is the number one key. Subscribe. Let us get 300 before Friday's show, on our way to 50,000 in 2025.
Can I? Yeah, at some point in the near future, 50,000. Absolutely. I would like to give a shout out here at the end of the show. Wearing my Union Omaha shirt. You can see this. It's a great badge.
Union.
That's how they say it in the Midwest. Am I not Nebraska enough to know how they say it properly? Okay.
Union.
I think it's Union Omaha. They got the owl badge. I believe this is I'm trying to remember the name of the guy that designed this. My man Mike Thomas will know. I'm blanking on the name of the crest designer. He did a lot of really good ones in American soccer. But I want to shout them out. They won the regular season title in USL League One. I believe that is Matt Wolf. Thank you, Mike Thomas. I knew he would know. USL League One. I believe that's the second year in a row that Union Omaha has finished atop the table in USL League One. So they've done something a la Louisville City in the USL Championship, which is basically win the league. I know playoffs are coming. That's how we do it in American soccer, but they've won the league as a third division team, and they're going to stay in the third division. Your reward is to go to the playoffs, try to win the actual playoff trophy, and maybe get a chance to do it all over again next year. But shout out to Union Omaha, who has already got a star. You can see it right there. They got the star. They gotta add to that number.
If we're giving shouts like that, I gotta say tip of the hat to Detroit City FC. They finished their home regular season, and the final goal of the game, they won 3-0 or 3-1 at the weekend, and long-serving goalkeeper Nate Steinwasser was able to take a penalty kick and score, and it may well be his final game. So a great sight to see goalkeeper stepping up and taking a penalty and converting and celebrating in front of the Northern Guard.
Yeah, shout out Detroit City FC. That's great. I don't have somehow I don't have a Detroit City FC shirt, a jersey. I only have like other accoutrement. I have other stuff on a shelf somewhere. I got a scarf hanging around here somewhere. Probably do. I need to get myself a DCFC shirt. I got to get my hands on that.
Yeah, USL championship season, I think, concludes this weekend, and playoffs are coming up for them. But I think our time has come to an end for this morning kick around. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you Friday. And until then, enjoy your soccer.